She walked into class, head lowered, books pressed tightly to her chest. Nobody really paid attention to Emma. She was the kind of girl who sat in the back of the room, spoke only when asked, and spent her lunch breaks quietly sketching in her notebook under the big oak tree outside. But that quietness, her silence, made her the perfect target. And the bullies knew it. It started small. A whisper behind her back, a giggle when she passed by, someone snatching her notebook and tossing it across the room. Emma ignored it at first, hoping if she stayed silent, they would eventually get bored. But silence only fed them more power. By the end of the week, it had escalated. Her books were thrown into the trash. Her lunch tray was knocked out of her hands. And one afternoon, they cornered her near the lockers. "What's wrong, quiet girl?" one sneered. "Cat got your tongue." Another shoved her shoulder. She stumbled, her drawings scattering across the floor. They laughed as they stepped on her sketches, her private world of art she had never shown anyone. Something inside Emma cracked that day. She bent down, collected her ruined papers, and walked away. She didn't shout. She didn't cry in front of them. But in her heart, a storm began brewing. That night, Emma sat in her room, staring at her ruined drawings. Tears slid down her cheeks, but then determination replaced the pain. She had been silent for too long. She decided she wouldn't fight them with fists or cruel words. No, she would fight in a way they would never forget. Emma had a secret talent. She could draw like no one else. Her sketches weren't just pictures, they captured emotion so vividly that anyone who saw them felt the story behind them. It was her voice, louder than any words she could ever speak. For the next week, Emma poured her heart into a project. She stayed up late every night, her hands aching, her eyes heavy, but she didn't stop. She drew the truth. The bullying, the laughter at her expense, the loneliness she felt, the pain of being invisible. But she also drew her resilience, her quiet strength, and her refusal to be broken. Every line was raw and honest. When the school announced a talent showcase the following Friday, Emma signed up. Nobody noticed. Nobody expected anything from her. She was still the quiet girl. That night, the auditorium filled with students, parents, and teachers. Performances came and went, singing, dancing, comedy skits. The bullies laughed loudly at their own jokes, mocking others under their breath. Then Emma's name was called. The room went silent in confusion. Emma? The girl who never spoke. What could she possibly do? Emma walked to the stage, carrying a large black folder. She didn't say a word. Instead, she set up a stand, clipped her drawings one by one, and let them speak for her. Her first drawing appeared on the screen, a girl sitting alone under a tree, surrounded by shadows of laughter. The audience shifted uncomfortably. Another drawing, hands pushing her, faces twisted in mockery. Then another, her sketchbook torn apart, her tears hidden behind lowered hair. The auditorium grew still. The bullies shifted in their seats, their smirks fading. Then Emma showed her final drawing, a girl, standing tall, light radiating around her, while the shadows that once laughed now shrank back in shame. The room erupted in applause. Parents stood to their feet. Teachers wiped their eyes. And for the first time, Emma smiled, not because she wanted attention, but because her voice had finally been heard. The bullies sat frozen, pale-faced. They hadn't realized how cruel they had been until the entire school saw it laid bare in Emma's art. And when the showcase ended, the impossible happened. Those same bullies walked up to her, heads down. "Emma, we're sorry," one whispered. Another muttered, "We didn't know it hurt that much. Please, forgive us." Emma looked at them calmly. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need to humiliate them back. She simply said, "Now you know." And she walked away. From that day on, no one dared mess with Emma again. Not because she was loud. Not because she was violent. But because she showed everyone that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes, strength is quiet. Sometimes, strength is unshakable dignity. And her story left the whole school with a lesson they would never forget: never mistake silence for weakness. Because the quietest voices often carry the loudest truths. Sparkle's message. Bullies thrive on silence, but silence is not weakness. Real strength is standing tall in your own way, turning pain into power, and teaching the world to listen, even without words.